If you're looking for some of the best old-fashioned burgers and steaks in town, Lotta Burger is the place to go for all of your favorites. Lotta Burger, 2260 South 3rd, Memphis, Tennessee, 901-946-2001. They're open Monday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 6:45 p.m. And the items on their menu include single, double, triple burgers, Philly sandwiches, smoked sausages, beef hot dogs, grilled cheese, tenders, fries, onion rings, and more. Call-in orders must be done before 11 a.m. No calls accepted after 11 a.m. Drive-thru is available. Hungry for a burger? Lotta Burger, 2260 South 3rd, Memphis, Tennessee, 901-946-2001. Don't just settle for any burger. Get a Lotta Burger.
Are you tired of going to the doctor with the same issue over and over again and never getting any relief? Are you tired of buying all types of vitamins and supplements, hoping but not knowing for sure that they will keep you healthy? Or are you getting enough of the right kind of nutrients that your specific body needs? If you answered yes to any of these questions, you need a nutritional blood analysis. With a nutritional blood analysis, we can take one drop of blood from a prick of your finger and analyze your body's nutritional needs, nutritional deficiencies, and nutritional imbalances. This analysis can provide an early warning of possible future health challenges so you can make the changes now to avoid a negative outcome. A nutritional blood analysis can be used to monitor a health challenge before and after adopting an approach to restore health and balance. It will also allow you the ability to determine the effectiveness of various approaches to restoring and balancing your health. So don't wait. Make your appointment. Stop guessing with your health. Know what works for sure. 901-602-7063.
Graphic Printing, located at 890 East Range Road in Memphis, a complete print shop for all your printing needs. They do it all: color copy, resume, funeral program, rubber stamp, full color business cards, wedding and graduation invitations, and more. 30 plus years of quality work and service. They're open Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Located at 890 East Range Road in Memphis, Tennessee, 901-345-9294. Graphic Printing. CJU's Appliances, located at 3530 Jackson Avenue here in Memphis, Tennessee. Call them at 901-487-7882. CJU's Appliances has the best prices in town. Sales and service, heating and air. Also the best appliances you'll find anywhere in the Mid-South. Refrigerators, microwave stoves, washers and dryers, deep freezers, dishwashers, whatever you need in used appliances. And folks will tell you they're the best used appliances anywhere you'll find. That's CJU's Appliances, 3530 Jackson Avenue. All appliances come with warranty. You can call them at 901-487-7882. Again, 901-487-7882. CJU's Appliances. C&S Motors Auto Sales, located at 2508 Southern Avenue, here in Memphis, Tennessee. Call them at 901-323-8778. C&S Motors Auto Sales has been around since 1984. Go by and see Chris Day for some of the best pre-owned and used vehicles in the city. They have SUVs, minivans, cars, trucks, whatever you're looking for in pre-owned used vehicles. Hey, you can find it right there at C&S Motors Auto Sales. See Chris since 1984. They will treat you right. Call them at 901-323-8778. That's 901-323-8778. 2508 Summer Avenue. C&S Motors Auto Sales.
This is Sergeant Chris Richardson with the Tennessee Highway Patrol, here to explain the Tennessee Hands-Free Law, which is a new state law effective July 1st, 2019. In Public Chapter 412, it makes it illegal for a driver to hold a cell phone or a mobile device with any part of their body, to write, send, or read any text-based communication, to reach for a cell phone or mobile device in a manner that requires the driver to no longer be in a seated driving position or properly restrained by a seatbelt, to watch a video or a movie on a cell phone or a mobile device, and to record or broadcast video on a cell phone or a mobile device. So, can I still talk on my cell phone while driving? Yes. A driver is permitted to use an earpiece, headphone device, or device worn on a wrist to conduct a voice-based communication. The driver may use one button on a cell phone or a mobile device to initiate or terminate voice communication, and voice-based communication may also be used to send a text message. Learn more at handsfreetn.com.
If you're looking for some of the best old-fashioned burgers and cakes in town, Lotta Burger is the place to go for all of your favorites. Lotta Burger, 2260 South 3rd, Memphis, Tennessee, 901-946-2001. They're open Monday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 6:45 p.m. And the items on their menu include single, double, triple burgers, Philly sandwiches, smoked sausage, beef hot dogs, grilled cheese, tenders, fries, onion rings, and more. Call-in orders must be done before 11 a.m. No calls accepted after 11 a.m. Drive-thru is available. Hungry for a burger? Lotta Burger, 2260 South 3rd, Memphis, Tennessee, 901-946-2001. Don't just settle for any burger. Get a Lotta Burger. Big Graphic Printing, located at 890 East Range Road in Memphis, a complete print shop for all your printing needs. They do it all: color copy, resume, funeral program, rubber stamp, full color business cards, wedding and graduation invitations, and more. 30 plus years of quality work and service. They're open Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Located at 890 East Range Road in Memphis, Tennessee, 901-345-9294. Big Graphic Printing. And good morning again, and welcome to Talkback Live in the morning. It is now 8:09, 9 minutes past the hour of 8 o'clock Central Time, and a very pleasant good morning to you on a Tuesday morning. Yes, a lovely, wonderful Tuesday morning, and starting your day off at 64 degrees under a mostly cloudy sky today. A beautiful day to start your Tuesday morning, and I tell you what, we have a great show up for you today. That's right, hot topics of discussion, news that you could use, local, national, international, And the number to call is 901-213-6020. Again, the number to call is 901-213-6020. All right. Yeah, yes. And
we good. Yeah.
And so, hey, I tell you what, Josh, good morning.
Good morning, Bob. Good morning, everybody out there watching, listening, tuning in, however you may be doing it. Another great show we got lined up for you today on this Tuesday morning, man. Ready to get it popping, cracking, rolling, kicking, jumping, screaming, yelling, all that stuff on this Tuesday morning. And once again, man, appreciate y'all for coming on in the building and letting us know it is a good morning indeed. A lot of stuff to get to on this morning. Can't wait to get into it. Can't wait to let y'all join in on the conversations. And good morning, everybody coming in. Kelly, Verdell, GKP, everybody else coming in as well. Verdell is still caught up in the Joey Magnifico catch. He's still saying that Magnifico still caught it, brother. I feel you, man. But yeah, man, you see I'm repping the Tigers with the hat on this morning. But I'm gonna get into some of that a little bit later on with TalkBack Live Sports later this afternoon. But right now, we
might talk about it a little bit.
Yeah, we may. But there's a lot of stuff we got this morning ahead of the agenda, ahead of the Brady White crew this morning. So y'all definitely stay tuned for that. And real quick, follow us on social media, Twitter at TalkBackLive, one word at TalkBackLive, Facebook TalkBackLive with Bob and Josh. Like our 3 pages, TalkBack Live with Bob and Josh. Also WTBL, TalkBack Live Network, as well as TalkBack Live Network as well. We're live on all 3 pages. Share the video if you get the opportunity. And let the people know about the best morning show, TalkBack Live with Bob and Josh, we humbly say. So we definitely will appreciate that. Also, the other apps you can listen to is the Spreaker app, Spreaker. That's Spreaker. Free download is just like TuneIn or anything else, or iHeartRadio. Any of those apps, man, you can listen to us. Just search TalkBack Live, one word, TalkBack Live, and you can listen to us there. Also, after the show, our podcasts are up everywhere. First of all, Spreaker, also Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, all of those places as well. You can search TalkBack Live and you will see our entire collection of shows, including my sports show, Breaking Bread, all of that and more. Even the new shows that are to come, you will see them under the TalkBack Live those platforms, Spotify, iHeartRadio, etc. So, without any further ado, Bob, if we're ready, let's get it on.
Yes. 901-213-6020 is the number to call. And I am adjusting some things here as we go. And Josh, let's get it going.
Let's get it on.
Let's get it on. In the headlines today, we've got some things going on in Shelby County.
You're up. I just had to turn them in.
Yeah, we've got some things going on in Shelby County. Also, we've got some things going on out of Shelby County, and we'll talk about that too as well. Well, you know, in Texas, it's been hot the past, 2 or 3 months? Situations coming out of Dallas, situation out of Fort. Well, I tell you what, folks, it's a big, big deal this morning, and we're going to talk about it. Josh, hey, there is some, turn up over there, please. Yes, thank you. There's a situation out of Dallas, Fort Worth, about concerning the Fort Worth police officer that shot and killed a lady in her own home. And now, this morning, he has officially been charged with murder of the lady he shot in her own home. What is going on with this particular story?
Yeah, so, we talked yesterday about what in the world was going on with the situation in Fort Worth. Now, the man was arrested. Actually, yesterday afternoon, he was arrested and charged with murder by the Fort Worth Police Department. Pretty quickly, I mean, the guy was, we found out later in the day who he was.
Yeah.
His identity was revealed to the public because he resigned. It was really on his own volition.
Before he got fired.
Yeah, he quit.
Yeah.
And not only that, what's interesting about the whole thing is that he is refusing to cooperate with the investigation. He's refusing to talk to the police.
Yes.
He's refusing to be interviewed or cross-examined or anything like that. So either way it goes,
but
the Fort Worth Police Department said, hey, look, if you're not going to cooperate, it doesn't matter because we got enough to charge you with murder.
Now, he is out on a $200,000 bond.
Yes.
And we'll talk about that coming up in the $200,000 bond. And Josh, are we ready to play? Folks, 901-213-6020, or you can leave your comments as you're doing coming in on Facebook. Good morning, all of you. And let's take a listen to this.
Police in her own home. Body cam video shows an officer outside the house. He'd responded to a call from a worried neighbor about a door ajar. The officer then firing through a window of the house. The officer resigning today, the family accusing him of murder, and ABC's Marcus Moore talked with the family.
Tonight, authorities say the officer at the center of this fatal weekend encounter, a woman was killed inside her own home.
Put your hands up! Show me your hands!
Is not cooperating with their investigation. The Fort Worth police chief saying after reviewing the video, he would have fired Officer Aaron Dean, but he quit first.
Had the officer not resigned, I would have fired him for violations of several policies, including our use of force policy, our de-escalation policy, and unprofessional conduct.
Family members say 28-year-old Tatiana Jefferson was playing video games with her 8-year-old nephew early Saturday morning and had left the front door open to capture some of the breeze. That open door getting the attention of a neighbor who called the department's non-emergency line.
The front doors have been open since 10 o'clock, and I haven't seen anybody moving around.
Police parking around the corner to do a welfare check. In the video, you can see Officer Dean walking around the back of the home, and that he never identified himself as an officer.
Put your hands up! Show me your hands!
Within seconds, Dean firing that deadly single window, killing Jefferson in front of her nephew. The shooting comes less than 2 weeks after Amber Geiger, a former officer from the nearby Dallas Police Department, was found guilty for killing Botham Jean inside his home.
No justice, no peace!
With anger growing in the community, Fort Worth city leaders announcing an investigation, but also apologizing for leaking that Jefferson had a weapon in her home, now calling that detail irrelevant. Tonight, Jefferson's family charges.
For looking through her own window, it's amazing to me that they could even try to justify it.
It angers me that my sister's not here. She won't even get to see 30.
And late tonight, Dallas police announcing charges for that officer, booking him for murder. The Fort Worth police chief had indicated that he had submitted the case to the FBI for possible civil rights violations. No word on whether the FBI is taking the case.
All right, Marcus Moore tonight. Thank you, Marcus.
Hi, everyone.
All right. What do you think, folks? 901-213-6020. And this situation here, Josh, is it going to stand? Well, we had Jay ask the question. Mm-hmm. We've got a charge. Now let's get a conviction. Well, do you think it'll be that difficult, folks, to get a conviction on this? now that you've got the Fort Worth Police Department, the chief of the Fort Worth Police Department is, I think he's been against this whole guy all along here since this thing first came out. And I think the chief here wants to get a conviction. This is how important, or do you think the body cam had a lot to do with this investigation? Because if the body cam was not on, then they would not have been able to catch the footage that they did. That body cam on officers are very, very important.
And they need to stay on.
And they need to stay on, and for them not to turn them off and on, whatever. So, and that's been a problem with, some police officers across the country.
Yeah.
They've been turning their body cams off, and do you think sometimes when they turn their body cams off, I believe anyway, that they're trying to hide something. They're about to do something that they know that's illegal. And so why turn it off if you're not going to do something that's illegal? And but here you've got the body cam on the officer that catches all of the footage and everything that went down here. The concerned citizen, the neighbor, said he was concerned because the door had been open since around 10 o'clock, 10:30 or something like that. And so it was said that she was letting some air into the place. But, that time of night, I don't know if it was a good idea to open your front door, but it seems to me that she did have a storm door there, some fresh air in the house. So, but this prompted the neighbor to call and to let someone know that, hey, they need to come over and do a welfare check. Okay? Wow. Police officer shows up. Instead of knocking on the front door, ringing the doorbell, or saying whatever he needed to say, he wanted to go in the back and then see and then shoot. After he says, put your hands up, pow, immediately, and kills the lady in her own home. So what do you think? 901-213-6020, and comments are coming in. Good morning. Yes.
Go ahead.
All you people, good morning, Frankie and Jay and Jet coming in. He said that's sickening because I know that if the young lady had her gun in her hand, this would somehow be justified. Well, you're probably right.
Yeah, honestly.
Yeah.
You probably wouldn't have been arrested or anything. But you know what? That's the crazy thing about it. First of all, I don't know who in the Fort Worth Police Department decided to release the photo of her gun in her house. But I think that was bogus. And y'all heard my opinions on that yesterday. That alone should have been enough for Fort Worth Police to not be investigating. For them to already be putting the excuses out there. But in their credit and in their defense, the police chief and everybody else has come out and said, hey, look, that was wrong. Right. I don't know whose decision it was to release it in the first place, but clearly the police chief said, hey, look, we can't be doing this. We need to play this on the up and up. And they have been rather aggressive compared to other situations in getting a conviction, getting an arrest, that is, and moving forward with the situation, at least in my opinion.
Well, I don't think this police chief, Fort Worth, I don't think he knows there's a lot of things that have already gone down this year concerning his department about people being shot and killed. And I think he's had enough of it. And I don't think he wanted this to be something, at least on his, background, while he's chief of police at Fort Worth, and then it'll be a big, bad discussion about him after he leaves office. So, but I think, he handled it well. And should this guy, do you think he'll be convicted? I don't think there'll be a question about it. And it, now the concern is how much will he get, or what will he? How will they? What am I trying to say?
How severe would the punishment be?
Yeah, how severe would the punishment be?
Because think about it now. Like as much as we're giving credit to the police, which I think the police chief at least has vocally done a good job in doing this thing. And I'm sure Jet, because Jet says public pressure, or GKP says public pressure. And I think it's got a lot to do with it. I mean, if the public, not just locally down in Texas, but the whole nation, just put a lot of pressure on a lot of these departments that face these situations now, that you can't be doing this crap and hiding stuff and think nobody's going to know what you're doing anymore.
Right.
And these little pity pat punishments and all that. So hopefully this continues into this case. But like I said, what I was originally going to say, despite the fact with the police chief and all that stuff, the courts are what matters.
Mm-hmm.
And what's going to happen? You don't know.
Yeah.
Some of these judges don't care about public pressure. They just care about, hey, some don't care at all about situations like
in situations like this, I mean, your Amber Geiger situation, and now this in Dallas-Fort Worth area Metroplex.
Yeah.
I don't think any judge would want to have this said about him because he's not, making the right decision or what he, do in a particular situation like this or whatever.
Mm.
But I don't think anybody wants to do anything right now with this in the wrong way because it would be devastating to them, a judge or a juror, whatever, on this particular situation. I think this is a shut and open case here. I don't think it's going to be too much as far as people wondering, is he going to be punished or is he not going to be punished, or will he be convicted, or, I think this is an open shut case here. I think the guy already knows that he's going to be punished, and by him resigning is a good indication that he knew he was guilty. He knew what was coming, and so he just went ahead and resigned before they, arrested him and convicted him. But now, here's the problem. Or is it a problem with the guy being out on $200,000 bond? Is $200,000 bond, is that enough? Or is that a bad indication as by letting this guy out on only $200,000? Should it have been more? Or should they have, denied bond? This is a murder case here. He's been convicted of murder.
Yeah, you're right.
And so should he have been let go? Does he get 10 years too? I don't know, Verdell. I don't think, as a police officer, Verdell, that's a good question. But I think he should get more than that. More than 10 years. I mean, he was called to protect and serve, but yet he murdered someone, and some people say, well, he hadn't been on the job but a year and some. It doesn't matter. I think it was last April he started his job.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. You're a police officer. You don't quickly grab your gun, and he didn't even announce himself as police, so he just said, put your hands up, and just started shooting the second after he said, put your hands up.
Yeah.
And you could see, we played the audio and the video there, you can see the bullet hole in the window where the woman in her own home was shot to death by someone that's supposed to protect and serve. This is outrageous. This is a total disgrace.
Looking here, a couple comments. GKP says, you read that one, right?
No,
My biggest concern is the officer pleading guilty to a lesser charge, possibly voluntary manslaughter. That's interesting. Then Verdell said,
will they let that happen, though? I mean, if he does to a lesser charge, what would they have to give him a lesser charge, or would they just say, no, we're not going to, you're being charged with murder? Manslaughter. I don't think manslaughter is the same thing as murder here. So
definitely
the way he committed this crime, I considered manslaughter. Jet says,
will he get hugged and kissed by someone other than his cellmate?
Well, no, I don't think so, Jet. I think he's going to get tightly hugged and treated well by his cellmates. And what I'm saying is I think he's going to jail, and he knows it. I think he's going to get a conviction. I hope, and I do think here that it's going to be probably something that everybody will be pleased with. And because I don't feel that the Fort Worth Police Department, the chief there, is really wanting to mess around with this case. I don't think he wants to play around with it. I think they really are trying to really get a conviction and a sentence out of this particular situation so that the chief of police can, it would be good for him to do something or allow something to happen where a big conviction would come out of this and sentence time or whatever the case is, so that the chief, when he leaves office, will be known as, hey, he is the one that did not allow a police officer to get off, but he stood firm in what he was talking about, what he wanted to do. Yeah,
I agree. Now, here's the thing. Here's a couple things I got, because I looked at a lot of videos on this last night.
Yeah.
Different news stations down in Fort Worth and other places. Just really wanted to hear a lot of different perspectives on this situation. Now, one news station in Fort Worth, they talked to another police officer. I think it was Houston or somewhere else down there. And they got the thoughts like, okay, because the talk is they need better training, right? You remember we're talking about better training in situations, whatever, right?
Yeah.
Now, according to the police department, he received racial sensitivity or some type of racial training at the police academy.
Right.
And not long before this situation, where they went through racial sensitivity, however they call it, where you understand.
I think that's what it is. Yeah.
Where you're able to relate better to other races,
right,
other than yourself.
Yes.
In police type situations.
Mm-hmm.
So they said they went through that type of training, another type of racial training as well, understanding type of thing, whatever they called it, and also particular situations like this, as well in certain calls.
Mm-hmm.
And they said this is against all the protocols to do. So the question then becomes, if the training's not working, what's the problem?
I don't think I don't think the question should be if the training's working. Mm-hmm. The training's working for those that are wanting to make the training happen. Mm-hmm. You go to a police academy, you want to be a police officer, you have to go through the police academy.
Yeah.
So you go through the police academy because you expect to be trained.
Mm-hmm.
And so when they train you in what to do, what not to do, how to do it, and all that kind of stuff, then and the rules and regulations and the guidelines and all of that, when you go through the training at the police academy, those are the
exactly.
So it's really, did this person want to be a police officer for some other reason? Now, when you go through the police academy, this is what you are taught.
Yeah.
So,
I guess what I'm saying is, and I get what you're saying, because all this talk about training this, training that, at the end of the day, you almost wonder how much that really matters.
Well,
because why should you have to be trained to treat certain people a certain way?
Well, I mean, just in case, we have all kinds of people, all kinds of evil in the world today, so they want to make sure they cover their tracks. It'll never be said. They don't want it to ever be said that we did not tell you. We did not train you. We did not guide you and told you what the rules and regulations were as far as a police officer were. So, but yeah, no, in this particular case, he's went to the academy. He's been trained. Now, he come in with the evil intention of not doing the right thing. Well, you're going to have people that become police officers. They're going to be trained.
Yeah.
But then once they get trained, they feel, hey, I'm the big dog. I can do whatever I want to do. And, just avoid and forget about what they've been trained on. And so you're going to have those kind of people. And those people you can't do anything about. You're going to have all kinds of people joining. They'll go through the training. They'll probably do well. They'll probably pass all the exams and everything. But their attitude and their lifestyle or what they believe in or whoever they are, if they're a racist officer, a racist person, then they're going to come into the academy. They may pass everything.
Yeah.
But that doesn't change the fact that they're racist. It doesn't change it at all.
That's true.
Just because you doesn't say, okay, all our officers are trained well and none of them are racist. No, that's a lie. Racism is still alive and well.
Yeah.
So that doesn't take away the fact that, a person can go through the academy and wherever, become an officer or whatever kind of officer they are, that they're not racist. Yeah.
So I guess when in saying that, I guess you look at any line of work, right? How anybody can get in.
Yes.
So to speak, especially when you talk about racism, because you really can't vet for that type of thing. It's not like you can look in their background unless they were openly, a member of the Klan or something and put it on their resume. You can't really look on their background and see that type of thing, I'd assume, unless they got in trouble for racist actions in the past.
And they probably wouldn't hire them.
Yeah.
Do you think they should? I don't think they should if they know that for a fact. But, a lot of people are, joining the police force or whatever kind it is, whether it be highway patrol, sheriff, or police officer or whoever.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they're joining these forces, and they have a lot of they're racist. We got to face the fact. Just because you're wearing a uniform does not mean anymore that people trust you to the highest degree. It used to be when the people talked about police officers and saw police officers, it was respect. When you saw a police car, it was respect. You trusted the people. Now you can't. You don't know who's driving the car when they show up to your house anymore.
Yeah, you're right.
And a good case, just like down in Dallas, Fort Worth, in the Fort Worth area there. This guy comes up, police is called, come to the house, and instead of doing the right thing or didn't know what to do or called somebody for questioning or for backup or whatever the case may be, he jumps a fence, goes in the backyard, and the lady gets up after she hears some noise, and then he fired through her window in her home. So, this is not good. This is not good for him, and he should be charged to the highest degree. And no, I don't think he will get off. I think that Fort Worth Police Department is under pressure, like someone said earlier, and I think they want to get a good conviction out of this one to prove a point and to make a point here so that there'll be no question about, hey, are we, our citizens now, can they trust the police to a certain degree after this is all over?
Mm-hmm.
So this is what it'll be about.
Read a couple comments here.
901-213-6020 and comments. Yes, sir.
GKP says, remember, Bob, this is the police we're dealing with.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I do understand.
Kelly says that coward should be prosecuted to the fullest extent and should get capital murder. That coward shot that young woman through a window.
Absolutely. I agree with you.
Absolutely. It says, doesn't help a lifetime of hate training and watching the news and believing what they hear from society. Even when they hear from...
what they hear.
Huh? Believing what they hear from society. Even what they hear from us about us.
Oh. Okay.
That's as far as the negative connotation about black people.
Right.
So, do you think that's a thing too? That maybe what they hear, not just from other black people about black folks, but when you watch the news or other public, or other forms of media, that maybe that forms their opinion? Do you think that's a thing? Or maybe, sometimes I think it could just be from their own family. It may be raised a certain way. You know?
Yeah. Jet also says, that's my point to Josh. They need to be trained to be better citizens. Mm-hmm. He is America's child. He was born and raised right here in America. I agree. And
he also said it didn't start when he joined the academy. His mindset started when he was able to view his society through the great American lens.
Well, yeah, through the great American lens, that's true. But yet, got to understand, too, all Americans are not racist. All Americans are not prejudiced. All white people are not racist. All black people are not prejudiced or racist.
Yeah.
So here you have a particular people that are raised in this country that are good citizens. But yet you still have those few that are out there that are saying, that were raised in the South. They say, well, some people say, some of those people even call themselves rednecks. Some people even call themselves white folks haters. Black people call themselves white folks haters. So, so we have this kind of thing going on to where people are still out there that are, I don't care where they work, they are not trustworthy. And so just because a person puts on a uniform, a badge, and then now we're to trust him with a gun? It's terrible these days, where the people that we have to put our trust in. And, that's why the Word of God tells us not to trust in man. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Mm-hmm. And lean not to your own understanding. In all your ways, acknowledge him, God, Jesus, and he will direct our path. Police department.
Yeah.
And but yet that's why they get paid by the citizens and by the taxpayers' dollars, is to protect and serve, and they should be held to that standard. Exactly. If they do not, if they're not doing what they're supposed to do, then wasting taxpayers' dollars on somebody that is supposed to be a police officer to protect and serve the community, whether the people white or black or whoever they are, then we don't need the taxpayers' dollars spent on an end like this.
Yeah, I agree. And I think the main thing is accountability. And I think that could help curb some of this, man, if there's more accountability with these police officers, if there's more punishment to situations like this. We had a caller, it was Vincent, who talked about, man, do these type of things. He said, one of our callers said, hey, they should get the death penalty if they kill somebody in the line of duty. Do you think that is too extreme? Or do y'all think, hey, this is a serious crime and they need to be held accountable for what they do to the highest extent? Because I've always felt like, and even in this Officer Dean in Texas, Fort Worth, I feel like a lot of those type of officers, the reason they so easily do those things is not just the racism. Of course, that has played a part of it in a lot of these situations. But it's not even just that to me.
It's because they can get away with it.
They feel they can get away with it.
Because of who they are.
Yeah.
I'm a police officer.
I'm a cop.
So therefore I can get away with this. Everybody believes me. The jury's going to believe me.
Yeah.
Because I carry and serve, and they know that's what I do. I would never do something. You'll never do something liar.
And think about this. Even some of them know, hey, even the police force, they're going to protect me.
Yeah.
Because some of these, it's been proven, some of these police officers or the police departments cover up evidence for their own men. Because some police departments out there, not all, of course, but there are some that have this gang mentality themselves, where it's ride or die with the police. Now, of course, you protect yourselves and all this stuff. It is a brotherhood. But at the same time, it shouldn't become to the point where you do something wrong that you take up for one another in their wrong.
Right.
That's where you begin to cross the line into gang territory.
Yeah.
As a police department. So I think some of that mentality exists. But we'll see.
And GKP says what there?
I'm not necessarily, this from GKP, I'm not necessarily going to call this guy a racist. I'll just say that he was an overly aggressive police officer who went beyond his call and jurisdiction in this situation, causing this young lady's death. Period.
Mm-hmm. I'm not actually saying that he was a racist. Maybe he was. But here's the point I'm trying to make. My point I'm trying to make is you can't trust just because a guy has a badge and a uniform and a gun and says he's an officer of some kind.
Yeah.
You just can't trust all of those officers because there are still racist people out there. And some of those people are wearing the uniform. Mm-hmm. Whether you want to admit it or not, there are racist officers in the police force or whatever kind of police force that they're in. They're out there. And we must not deny what exists.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if you deny what exists, you continue to have the situation that we have and that has happened in Fort Worth, Texas. This type of thing. And he may have done, but it's hard to believe.
You know what I found out?
To me, that he was not
prejudiced.
Yeah.
In some way.
Yeah, in some way.
If not all the way racist.
Racist, yeah.
So here's the thing I found out too. And this is I'm surprised some of the news is not detailed this, but sometimes you got to dig on the local level. Mm-hmm. So what I saw last night as well, it was one of the Fort Worth news stations, was found out that the police, when they were called it was a non-emergency number.
Yeah.
First, that was called by the neighbor.
The neighbor,
who's
right.
a black man, saw the door open.
Right.
Hey, just come check, which is fine.
And he thought that the door's been open until 2:25 in the morning. He thought that was rather strange.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I could see a situation where they might have forgot while they were back there playing.
Yeah.
With a nephew. But here's the thing. So do you know who the police sent out?
Who?
Sent the SWAT.
Really?
They were SWAT guys.
Oh, okay.
And that's what I was reading from hearing from the local news.
Okay.
That was SWAT.
The local news in the
yeah. So they were saying, talking to a guy. It's like, why don't you send a regular neighborhood police officer?
Uh-huh.
They send tactical guys.
Wow.
Down there.
I didn't know that.
Where it's their job to go in there and bust in places, and
yeah.
A lot more serious than just a wellness call.
Right.
Why would you send, unless, and this is what the guy raised, unless you knew this is a black community.
Well, no, I wouldn't say just a black community, unless they knew that this was a dangerous community.
Well, this is what the guy said.
Okay.
It is a predominantly black community.
Okay.
And what is dangerous or not? You're sending the SWAT down there for a wellness call.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Right.
That's kind of messed up for the SWAT team members, to be honest with you.
Well, is it that bad? Is it that bad that the officers had to send a SWAT unit down into that area? And if so, then where were the other officers when this officer jumped the fence and decides to shoot through this woman's window and kill her?
Yeah, I don't know how many officers were there. That's one question. I think somebody asked that. I don't know if it was 2 or 3 or whatever. It wasn't like a whole crew. That's what I do believe.
It was a tactical unit that was sent out. Maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, but here's the case. Why did he not respond to the front door? Why did he not drive his vehicle? What was understood, that he did not drive his vehicle up to the house.
Yeah, they came
around the corner.
Yeah, and I heard from the witness on that local news. Mm-hmm. The witness said after he made the call, he was watching to see what would happen. And he saw them come from around the corner walking.
Wow.
And stalking up to the house. He thought that was rather strange. Mm-hmm. He didn't see the vehicle or anything. So he said he figured they must have parked down the street somewhere.
Right.
And came up in a tactical approach to the house like it's a military war zone or something.
Yeah, yeah.
So all of that is weird. Now, they also talked to, this is another in Texas, they talked to another police officer in another department. Mm-hmm. And he said everything they did was wrong as far as the officers. And this is another white officer. Mm-hmm. He said, hey, look, in a situation like that, when we talk about a wellness check, first of all, we wouldn't send a tactical unit. And secondly, I would go right up to the front door if it's open and yell, "Hey, police here."
Right.
We're checking to see if everything's okay. Is anybody here?
Right.
And then what would happen? She would come to the door and everything would be figured out.
Yeah.
You know, he said the last thing I'd do is go jump in the fence and search in windows.
Yeah, and then when he sees the figure of somebody in the window, then he shoots through the window and kill him. That doesn't make sense to me. Yeah.
Insanity.
Call from
Greg.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that.
Greg, welcome to the show.
Greg, welcome to the show. Good morning on a Tuesday.
Good morning, gentlemen. How are you all?
Good, man. How you doing?
Good. How are you, Greg?
Man, I'm doing good. Hey, Josh. You know, that's what yesterday when I called. That's what I was asking about yesterday as far as the SWAT, and that's why I was so surprised at the response. You know, because it's like, I mean, why was the SWAT team, you know, sent? But there's the other questions I was asking too. What type of neighborhood it is? Is this, you know, yada yada yada? Is that what prompted that type of response?
Right.
You know, because I mean, how often does SWAT respond to a, you know, health and welfare check? You know?
Yeah, exactly.
Unless it's an area that has known for, you know, I don't know, drug activity or something, you know, something to that effect, you know. So, I don't know, it's crazy. But, look, man, I always talk about, you know, rational thought and emotion, right?
Yeah.
How they and that's the thing about it, man. You have to keep rational thought in mind when you're dealing with, even with these type of situations. That cop, there's no way he should be put to death. You know, there's no way. You're not even going to get capital murder out of it. There's a cop on duty.
It's what now? Wait. You said because of what now?
A cop, a police officer that is on duty would never be charged with capital murder. Unless it's a situation, say, like, I mean, they set him up on a sting, you know, to do something stupid.
Yeah.
You know, you look at a situation like Laquan McDonald that happened in Chicago back in I think that happened in 2011, but it just came to light, you know, in 2016 or 2017.
Right.
Where that cop sat there and shot that boy, you know, even though he was already dead on the ground and probably already dead, he shot him, 15 more times with a high-powered rifle.
Exactly, like a coward,
Yeah.
Right. You look at a situation like that, okay, now that situation, they probably could have got him up on first degree, but not, probably first degree, but you would never get it on premeditated. Because the thing about premeditated murder, capital murder, you have to be able to prove the intent. Not the result,
right?
But the intent.
Yeah.
So, you know, and that's how a lot of stuff do where the cops walk, because they overcharge them.
Yeah, right. Okay,
you know,
well, that's a good point. That's a good point, Greg. I'm glad you brought that out, because if you charge them, then, you know, it's harder to get a conviction on what you charge them with. If you overcharge,
then you got to
if you
prove
charge the degree or whatever, then let a jury or a judge decide. Okay, well, that's low enough. That's not good enough. We're going to charge them with this. So you get a better. You think a person can think that they can get a better conviction out of it that way?
Well, yeah. I mean, okay. You look at, say, what happened with. Even though he's not law enforcement, the whole thing was a Trayvon Martin situation, right?
Right.
Yep.
That was a blatant overcharge.
Yeah.
Because you couldn't prove, you know, Zimmerman's intent that day was to go out and kill Trayvon Martin specifically.
Right.
You couldn't do that.
Yeah.
And, you know, and I'm no lawyer, and I don't know anything about, but I know what I see.
Yeah.
You know, and I understand what I hear. So that was one of the worst, most egregious cases of overcharging, simply because everybody's emotions were in it instead of doing something sensible. They could have went simply for manslaughter. They could have went for manslaughter, and I guarantee you they would have got the manslaughter charge.
Okay, so do you think that they, by charging him with murder here, they went too far?
Well, okay, yeah, he should be charged with murder, but not first degree. Because, like I said, what was the intent? The intent, we know what the result was, but what was the intent that got the result? That's the part you're not going to be able to prove.
Now, did they charge him with first degree murder?
Well, no, they hadn't said yet.
No, they haven't charged him with, they just said murder right now.
Yeah, so I guess they're going to try
we got to wait and see. But I hear people saying he should get the death penalty. Or he should, he should get capital murder.
Yeah. Well,
capital murder is never going to stand.
Well,
I guess people out of the anger and the the consistent trend that is going on with police officers, and so people just say, "Hey, just do it to the highest degree, get rid of it, and so make a statement." I think people want to be made hard so that this kind of junk don't continue to happen as far as police officers are concerned. But like you said, if we go too far with the situation, then you may not get anything at all, or you get just a slap on the wrist, and it won't be any real type of punishment. Yeah.
Well, here's the thing: we got to start somewhere, and so we already know what we're up against.
Yeah.
So, what I'm saying, you got to make it make. You got to, unfortunately, sometimes you got to make it make sense.
Yeah.
Like I said, first degree capital murder. Understand what first degree means and what capital murder means.
Okay.
Right.
Right.
You got to understand those things. You got people that have killed, their spouses, took the prosecutor or the body, confessed, and still didn't get capital murder.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's very true.
Yeah. Got what you're saying. And
but this guy just, man, sometimes you got to understand the wheels of justice turn slowly, but they do turn.
Yeah.
And we have to keep our heads about it and allow something decent to happen. This is the way I put it, okay? Let's not try to do something that feels good. Do something that will do some good.
Yeah. I think that's a good point. And the reason I think it's a good point, Greg, is, you talk about emotions, and I think the Trayvon Martin trial was the perfect example. But then I felt like, man, they're reaching too far, and it kind of made me mad, man, because you see all this evidence, it's wrong, and this jerk gets off, because of overly eager and emotional prosecution. So
our emotions to be able to try to get someone emotions is not a thing to go on, because you can really make the wrong decision, and then a person can really get off. Why? Because we went too far with the situation. So, but that's a good point.
Right, and I tell you something else. And that lawyer that was on the Trayvon Martin thing, he was grandstanding. If you ask me,
absolutely,
he was grandstanding.
I felt the same way.
And that was the thing that pissed me off the most, was that they had a lawyer that was obviously, to me anyway, grandstanding, trying to make his come up.
Yeah.
There's, I don't know, with all the evidence, all the things that was thrown out in that trial, I'm still amazed that they still were trying to go for what they were trying to get out of that.
Yeah. Okay.
I was still amazed. But anyway, hey, I appreciate y'all taking my call, man.
Yes, sir.
And hey, at least they arrested the guy. At least everything right now has been done swiftly.
Yeah.
And so that's okay for that.
Yeah.
I'm good for that for now. But so let's see what happens from here on out.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, Greg, thanks for the call.
Great stuff, man.
All right.
901-213-6020. He's out. He was arrested, but he's out on $200,000 bond.
And
is that good enough?
Yeah.
$200,000 bond. People get that for a little or nothing, but yet, I guess because he's a police officer, is that why he gets only a $200,000 bond? Or is that, is that appropriate? Am I going too far at saying the $200,000 bond was not good enough? Did I going too far, or is that enough for a police officer to kill someone in their own home after he was called to protect and serve. So I guess you look at the situation, well, the officer came, he didn't know what he was going to face, so, they were fearful for their lives. That's a bunch of junk.
Hey,
I mean, we keep hearing that kind of stuff and those type of excuses, and we should not let those excuses go.
I agree. And Bob, can you read some of those comments? I know I've lost a few.
Yeah.
But there were several that came in.
Jet said, he said, was he alone? He had to be, what is that? Radioing to someone that was going around the back because unless he was alone. And I seriously doubt that he says that he was alone. So someone was backing his decision. So if it wasn't training, where is he at? I lost. Okay, here we go. Wow, that's a long comment. Okay, especially the supervising officer. Okay, here we go. So if it wasn't training, then every officer or that scene needs to be dealt with, especially the supervising officer. Well, I hadn't brought that up about the supervising officer, or unless he was a supervisor. I don't know. Unless he broke every procedure in the book, like not even radioing his position, if for no other reason, that's not to shoot or get shot by another officer arriving at the scene. Okay.
Gotcha.
Greg says, I do not agree with that unless it's something deliberate or heinous. Much like the, what is that, LaGuan McDonald?
LaGuan McDonald. Yeah.
Case in Chicago.
Which is what he just called and talked about.
Okay,
yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right. Okay, Jet says, no snitching is worse. No snitching is worse in the PD's, police departments, than in any hood. Preachers and police are the worst. Wait a minute. What does he mean by
as far as snitching, I'm assuming.
Oh. Preachers snitch? Okay, anyway. Good morning, everybody, Greg says. Jet says here again, if he were in a white neighborhood, he would have never over-policed that way. Call this what it is. Racism at its core. Wow. Jet. So, I mean, so you saying that if this was a white neighborhood, he would not have over-policed the way he did?
Yes.
Okay.
And I got a couple more here. I can see him here. GKP says afterwards, he says, of course, it's figurative, at least what he's saying, based on his actions.
Well, Jet says, come on, GKP, you already know what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And GKP says, of course, yeah, what you just read, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Of course, it's figurative based on his actions, that his agenda was questionable. So that's interesting. Then Greg says, it's hard to say cops like that are racist simply because there are black cops who act like buttholes, he says, as well towards us also.
That's true.
Yeah.
Now, that is true.
Yeah.
That is the truth, Greg. I agree. Totally agree. Okay? And I've seen some Memphis police officers, man. I mean, wow. They were just a mess. I mean, there's a lot of good police officers out there, folks. A lot of good police officers. But you cannot deny what exists. There are some bad cops everywhere.
Oh, definitely now.
Okay? And if they get the opportunity to do something and they feel they can get away with it, I think they would do it. Especially if somebody's with them that would help them get away with it. Stanley Finster, thanks for listening and watching this morning. First, you have to understand, Stanley says, you have to understand Texas laws and
not compare them with Tennessee laws.
Yeah. True. That's true.
Terry says good morning. So good morning, Terry Love.
Okay.
In the building. So those are the comments there. Y'all can keep leaving your comment.
Okay. Jet says, wow. Crump did his job. He won the civil suit. The victim's attorney doesn't represent them during the criminal trial. The state's DA does. In murder cases, it's the state versus the defendant. No personal attorneys representing any victim. Greg says agreed to Stanley. Terry Love, they need to stop sending white cops into black neighborhoods. Oh, come on, Terry. They pretend to not understand us. Oh wow, that's I don't know about that. I mean, if you're a cop, you should be able to protect and serve everywhere.
Okay, now real quick.
Yeah.
All right, since we read a lot of them, and I know we're going to take a break in a minute.
Yeah.
Before we read any more. But I do, I don't know about that, Terry. I like Bob said. Now, to be real, I don't think you could realistically expect to not have white officers in the black community, just like black and white communities, just like mixed. Like, look, I mean, let's say you did do that, right? Is that really going to change anything?
No.
Now, you got white officers that can be just as bad, if not worse, than some of these white officers.
That's true.
In the same situation. I mean, just look at what happened in Memphis. You know, so, you know, not to get into anything specific, but y'all know what I mean.
Yeah. That's true, Josh.
Yeah.
In the past decade, nearly 26,000 murders.
Okay, you can go ahead. I was wanting to read because I know we're late for a break.
Okay,
so,
all right. Let's take a break, and when we come back, we may be joined by a guest that's talking about this police situation as well. So you'll stay tuned for that, and we'll read some more comments and take your phone calls 901-213-602. To Talk Back Live with Bob
and Josh.
And hey, we'll be back. It is now 9:07, 7 minutes past the hour of 9 o'clock Central Time, and a very pleasant good morning to you on Tuesday morning. We'll be back after this. If you're looking for some of the best old-fashioned burgers and cakes in town, Lotta Burger is the place to go for all of your favorites. Lotta Burger, 2260 South 3rd, Memphis, Tennessee, 901-946-2001. They're open Monday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 6:45 p.m. And the items on their menu include single, double, triple burgers, Philly sandwiches, smoked sausages, beef hot dogs, grilled cheese, tenders, fries, onion rings, and more. Call-in orders must be done before 11 a.m. No calls accepted after 11 a.m. Drive-thru is available. Hungry for a burger? Lotta Burger, 2260 South 3rd, Memphis, Tennessee, 901-946-2001. Don't just settle for any burger. Get a Lotta Burger.
Graphics Printing, located at 890 East Range Road in Memphis, a complete print shop for all your printing needs. They do it all: color copy, resumes, funeral programs, rubber stamp, full color business cards, wedding and graduation invitations, and more. 30 plus years of quality work and service. They're open Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Located at 890 East Range Road in Memphis, Tennessee, 901-345-9294. Graphics Printing.
C&S Motors Auto Sales, located at 2508 Southern Avenue, here in Memphis, Tennessee. Call them at 901-323-8778. CNS Motors Auto Sales has been around since 1984. Go by and see Chris today for some of the best pre-owned and used vehicles in the city. They have SUVs, minivans, cars, trucks, whatever you're looking for in pre-owned used vehicles. Hey, you can find it right there at CNS Motors Auto Sales. See Chris since 1984. They will treat you right. Call them at 901-323-8778. That's 901-323-8778. 2508 Summer Avenue, CNS Motors Auto Sales. Welcome back to the show, Talk Back Live with Bob and John. And it is now 9:10, 10 minutes past the hour of 9 o'clock Central Time. And a very pleasant good morning to you on a Tuesday morning. Yes, a lovely, wonderful Tuesday morning. And again, starting your day off at 64 degrees on a mostly cloudy sky. Rain is in the forecast. And our topic for today is, well, yes, you guessed it. Out of Fort Worth, Texas, cop is charged with murder of the black woman in her own home in Fort Worth, Texas. And so he's been charged with murder. He was arrested. This morning, he is out on a $200,000 bond. Yes, you heard me right. The officer was arrested for murder, but yet he's out of jail. $200,000 bond. I mean, is that good enough or is it not? Yeah. $200,000 for an officer to get off. After going to a home to protect and serve, but yet he shoots and kills.
Yeah, that's the total opposite.
Yeah. And not saying that did he go there with the intent to kill in that particular neighborhood? From what we understand now, that was a predominantly black neighborhood, probably a neighborhood they say that was a dangerous neighborhood. A lot of things go on there. And did he go there intentionally to kill, or did he go there afraid and by being afraid didn't do the right thing that he was supposed to do and do it in the right way? Or and if he was afraid, does that get this officer off because he feared for his life? Well, I mean, all officers may say, "Oh, I feared for my life." That's why if you join the police department, you know that there are things that go on there. Officers fear for their lives.
And just to check, because I'm seeing on the thing, did the call just come in and says it did for some reason on the phone?
No.
Yeah, just double check. It said miss,
No,
Okay, I'm not sure why I'm seeing that, but yeah, I got you. Nothing else to check.
No, it's not there. So.
Okay.
No, I didn't get a call. Right. We're expecting someone to call. Okay. And our special guest,
Michael Williams.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, we're glad and honored to have on our show.
As you heard,
he is the president of the Memphis Police Association. Ladies and gentlemen, he's been on our show in the past, and so we appreciate our guest, Mr. Mike Williams. Mike, welcome to the show.
What's going on, Bob?
Oh, pretty good. How about yourself, man?
Man, hanging in there. Another day, another dollar.
Well, it's a little bit more than that. So, but anyway.
Well, that's for you.
What? No.
You got all those things going on.
Yeah. What? No, we're not going to talk about that anymore. But anyway, Mike. No.
we already getting into it. I see.
But hey, man, it's an honor to have you on, really, and thanks for joining us. Listen, there's some things going on, across America, but here in Memphis, the relaxing of the situation with the Memphis Police Department. Officers living, what, 2 hours away or more?
Well, all I know is it's talking about mainly the residency.
The
residency requirement.
Yeah, but some people say this is confusing.
Well, it shouldn't be, Bob. You know, people make it. Edmund Ford Jr., they try to say that, you know, police officers should live in the city. Well, guess what? When I came on, and I'm still covered, I'm grandfathered in, I can live up to 2 hours away. Mm-hmm. But I choose to live in the city. You know what I mean?
Right.
So what's confusing about that? You know, when you got corporations, best and the brightest individuals, you allow them the ability to be able to have choices. Don't cost you anything. They say, Edmund Ford Jr. says, well, if they live in a city, they contribute to the tax base. Mm. That's, you know, you're talking about less than 1,000 people that have to possibly live in a city. So that's not really a whole lot to the tax base. So that's a moot point. The other thing is some people say, well, they should live where they police. That ain't necessarily so for everybody, because it's just like, you know, I go visit my grandmother and she said, baby, go get me a soda pop. I go to the local store. Guy walks up to me. You know, I got my son with me. And the guy says, oh, you the blankety blank blank that arrested me. You know, I'm a little different, though, North Memphis. So I'm like this here. I'm more dangerous out of uniform than I am in uniform, because in uniform I have restrictions. Okay. Now you're dealing with the man and the father of this young boy.
Right.
But, you know, you want to put your family somewhere where you feel that they're safe. You want to put your family somewhere to whereas you want the choice of where you want them to be educated. The school system, you know, when you got big companies that recruit from all over the world or all over the country, some of the first things you look at when you want to accept that position or that job is neighborhoods, location, schools, you know, for your children, you know. So why, when you take that away from police officers, no different than anybody else, you know? What's wrong with having a choice? You have a lot of officers that are from this city, and they choose to live in this city. Like me, I'm comfortable in the city. But you got some people be comfortable in the city.
Right.
You know, you got some live out on 5 acres somewhere. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Well, and that's with anything. And, you know, so, but yeah, go ahead, John.
I was going to ask this. I've heard some people say that, hey, you know, with those officers that, you know, don't want to live in the city or whatever this is, that maybe, you know, you lose that relatability to the community because you're not really from here. And some people think that could be an adverse situation, you know, if they face. What do you think about that?
Well, Josh, I'm saying if I'm from Iowa and you make me live in the city, I'm still from Iowa. That doesn't change anything. And when you talk about the relatability, you know, it's all in the humanistic qualities of individuals, period. No matter where I've went around the world, I've been able to assimilate into the environment that I'm in. And that's why it's imperative that we hire the best and the brightest, and those individuals that are capable and competent enough to be thrust into whatever environment and have the ability to adapt. That's not something that you're going to get from somebody because you make them live in the city. Let's say, you know, you got police officers and they're from Iowa.
Okay.
I don't think they're going to move into a black community, a lot of them. You know what I'm saying? So what's the difference? I'm still going to go back into an environment that I'm used to because that's what I'm going to gravitate toward. You know what I'm saying? So what do you mean? He or she is going to come into work every day in this city, and they're still going to function. You know, prior to a lot of what's going on now, I credit a lot of what's going on around the country. We've relaxed the standards. You have a lot of individuals that are, and I say it all the time, you got a lot of police officers that are afraid. But you may be hiring individuals that may not have that ability that individuals used to have. You got to be able to stand up to a criminal. Always pull your gun. That can't be your first resort. You got to be able to use your mouth first.
Okay, well,
verbal commands and all of that.
But you use verbal commands and then shoot without even waiting or hesitating. How long should you wait?
That's what you saying, Bob. I ain't say that. You said that. See, you trying to take me down that road already. I know what you're doing.
No. Okay.
Hey, this is similar to what we're talking about to a certain situation.
All right, now, Terry.
Well, but I'm saying that's individually. You got a lot of white officers that have no problem, and you can go on the internet, and they're doing great and wonderful things in black communities all across the country.
I agree.
You know what I'm saying? And they don't necessarily live in the black community.
Yeah.
I'm saying you got individuals. You hear me say it all the time. You got good officers, you got bad officers.
Right, and I agree with you.
If you're a bad officer, you're a bad officer. It don't matter if you're black, white, green, yellow, made of cheese, Hispanic, Asian.
And the police academy training don't change that.
That is correct. That's why, in my opinion, you shouldn't lower the standards. And that's where you weed them out in the police academy. But all across the country, they're relaxing standards because they're trying to get the numbers. But if you do things and put incentives in place, like you don't have a residency requirement. FedEx don't have one, and that's why they're one of the top companies. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And you get those individuals that come in, they're comfortable, they are more adaptable. If they don't make it through the academy, they don't make it through the academy. You don't want to just be passing people through the academy that don't have the ability to be able to stand on their own.
And we're talking with Mike Williams. He's a police honored to have him on this morning and talking about the residency requirement for police officers in the city. Should they exactly in the city limits of Memphis, Tennessee, in order to be hired as a police officer? And to me, I think that's a big mistake. If that is the case, or if that will be the case, or whatever, I think it's a big mistake because you're limiting yourself to the best and quality type of people or persons that you can hire to be police officers. There's a lot of mess going on in Memphis. You could get your hands on some of that mess and hiring them in the Memphis Police Department.
Well, uh-oh. Well,
listen at you, Bob.
Now right. Now listen.
Well, I agree. I agree wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
Hey, but so let me ask this question real quick. Now, this may be on a different line, but I'm not going to go where you might think I'm going. So, somebody in the comments, this might have been what Bob was going to get to.
Yeah.
With Terry a little earlier, because we were talking about another issue. But she raised a question about, policing in certain communities. And that there should be more black police officers in black communities than white police officers. How do you feel about that type of statement?
Well, I think that the makeup of the police department should be a reflection of the city. I do. Mm-hmm. Because, we have, like, black people. Mm-hmm. Let's just say it. Black people.
Okay.
Black people have, you have to understand. No, I'll relate it to anybody. You have to be able to understand their culture. Because I move my hands a lot when I talk, don't mean that I'm aggressive. You know what I mean?
Right. Okay.
It's just, we just do that when we talk. Or if I raise my voice, it doesn't mean that I'm mad or upset. It's just how I express myself. Right. When you go into the Hispanic culture, you have to know about machismo. You have to know about how in their culture you can disrespect a man by talking to his woman, you know what I'm saying,
right,
as opposed to him.
Right.
Or when you're in the Muslim culture, you got to know that if you walk into their house and disrespect their house, for instance, they don't shake hands because that's the hand you use to wipe your butt. You have to know about the culture that you're dealing with. because you can offend people if in fact you don't know their culture.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So you're saying that if white people don't know what's going on in the black community, how can they be effective police officers?
No, that's not what I'm saying. Is you have to be able to get people that are willing to adapt and learn different cultures, so that you don't start off a situation to whereas you've already offended somebody in their own homes or their own environment, because you don't necessarily have to, when I worked in Orange Mound, I was able to talk more people into the car than I had to fight people to get into the car,
Yeah, true.
But you have to know how to deal with them,
Yeah, but then you have, black people disrespecting black people in the black community. There's more murders, black people killing black people. And then some people will come with the question, okay, black officers in black neighborhood, you think black people are going to listen to you, or they're going to disrespect you more if rather than seeing a white police officer? Would they respect a white police officer more than a black police officer, because we already killing each other?
But doesn't that depend on the person?
Right.
Yeah, well,
Yeah. But see, but that's how come I say it's all personality and individual dependent. You know what I mean? Because, like I said, you got a lot of white officers that are working in black communities that are doing wonderful things.
I agree.
Wonderful things. We got some guys, some white officers that work in our cops unit. Man, they're doing so much good stuff in the black community that goes unnoticed all the time. But see, we'll spotlight it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But we don't highlight the good. They're doing so much for these kids, man. It's pitiful.
Is it? No. Let's get down to the nitty gritty. Is it because black people respect white officers better than they respect their own kind?
No. I'm saying it's all in how individuals present themselves. Period.
Okay.
If a black officer went into a black household and they did, then they're gonna get some flack. But if you go in there sometimes, you have to use the level of force that you receive. You go into an environment and it's not necessarily hostile, then you gotta be the one to kind of control the tempo. Now, if that individual is gonna go there, I'm one to say I can go from 0 to 60 in no time flat. But I start off on 0. You got to be able to do that.
Okay, so we're going to read some of these comments that's coming in too, Mike, and then want you to comment on some of these comments that are coming in. Terry says, until we have an honest conversation about racist cops, nothing will change.
I'm saying, what do you mean an honest conversation? We know that they're. So what do you mean? You got black.
Some people say, and you're right, I agree with you. And some people would say, Terry says here, again, what's the point of police training?
What do you mean?
I don't.
What's the point of you? I mean, you got training, you got sensitivity training, you got those that are willing to adapt are willing to adapt. Those that are not willing to adapt, you need to get rid of them.
Yeah, and see, that's what I was going to ask, because, we kind of talked about, in relation to the situation, in Texas and everything, how that guy actually, he did go through that training, with the racial stuff, but, it still led to whatever that ended up happening, So I guess, even with training, it seems like
a person's going to do what they want to do. A person's going to be who they are,
Bob,
irregardless of the uniform.
Say you're scared.
Yeah.
If you're scared, say you're scared.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, you go to a house to do a welfare check, and the door is open. I'm saying, why are you going to the window? Just go to the door and knock.
Yeah.
You're not going there because you're looking for a burglar or something.
Right,
you know what I mean?
Right. You're going for a welfare check.
Yeah. So go knock on the door and see if the individual is there that you're looking for to make sure that they're okay.
Yeah.
I'm saying, but that's one thing about Memphis, I will say.
Okay.
We're the models for crisis intervention. we're the model for a lot of things. And that's why it's imperative that we put mechanisms in place so that we can keep a lot of the good cops that are receiving the good training in this city. You're not having that in this city. You know what I mean? I get it. It's happening in other places, but that's why so many other departments are so willing to accept officers that have come out of the city of Memphis because of the quality training that they receive.
Mike, we had recently the voting process that took place. Are you satisfied with the outcome?
Well, I'm definitely satisfied with the outcome. The citizens resoundingly spoke and said that, they don't put faith in the council and the mayor to be able to restore the benefits of the public safety individuals in the city. And what they also said was, crime is a priority and a problem in this city. That's what that said. And, if they're not going to do something, those that have been elected, then we're going to take it into and we're going to do something to try to help you. Now, I would hope that the mayor would use this as a gift. And hopefully they're going to try to build on this, because this is just one component. Because we're still one of the lowest. This has nothing to do with our pay, first of all. Some people are confused and think that this is going to increase our pay. That's not what it was about. It was about benefits. So, but we're still the second lowest entity in Shelby County. The only department that makes less money than us is Millington, and they only have about 20 officers. But we handle over 1 million calls a year. We're the violent city per capita in the nation. We have the most homicides, the most home invasions, the most carjackings. Crime is prevalent in this city, as everybody knows. You know what I mean? So we got to do some more things or put some more mechanisms in place, because people used to run to come to Memphis. Now they're running to get out of Memphis. So that's an indication that there's a problem when it comes to retaining and recruiting quality individuals in this city.
So now we're talking to Mike Williams, president of the Memphis Police Association. Now, do you think the benefit, what was voted, the citizens voted on the benefits changes that you guys are getting? Don't you think that would help keep officers in and bring officers in?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And I want
that's going to help. Yes.
Okay.
And I want to add to that point. Now, it's funny when this whole thing was up. It was a debate. It seems like looking at the news with some people in the city council, it's like, yeah, even if it gets voted in, it doesn't mean we still going to let it happen or whatever the case is.
It's going to happen. That was rhetoric.
Okay.
Because what they wanted to do was to discourage the citizens from voting for it on the front end, because they knew that once the citizens voted it in, and that's why a referendum is put in place to override the legislators in your area. If it comes as a mandate from the citizens, then they have to abide by it. It's not like they can't abide by it. They have to. And, we're already working with the city, believe it or not, to try to come to an understanding of how all of this is going to flow. So, and Mayor Strickland had already said publicly that he would support it. And then there was the issue of the county and Edmund Ford Jr. again.
I saw that,
talking about, well, the county should get its fair share. But nobody ever talked about how or they didn't tell you that all municipalities in Shelby County has been getting it for years. We're the only ones that have not been getting our fair share. So it just blows my mind how an individual that represented District 6 in this city, that was his city council district, which has the most impoverished zip code in the state of Tennessee, and now he represents 9 on the county commission, which still represents one of the most impoverished zip codes in the state of Tennessee, and he's saying he want to give the money away.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? It's not going to happen, because those other county commissioners are not going to vote to take money out of their. So all.
Okay. All right. Mike Williams, Memphis Police Association, we're talking with. And could you read that statement where Jet has there? Let's see.
Which one?
He says, let's see here. Maybe. Oh, it's not coming up for me now. Let's see. No, it's not coming up. Then Greg says, I'm okay with easing those requirements. Terry live in a racist state. We are caught between Mississippi and Arkansas. Black folks.
Well, Tennessee was the capital of the Confederacy. You know that, right?
Yeah. But okay, now listen. This is not all. Black folk are trained to turn a blind eye, she says, and point the finger back at black folks.
Well, and I'm not pointing the finger back at black folk. I'm saying everybody's responsible. It's not that naive. But I will say this. I will say that we as a black community, because I am black and I grew up in a black community, we as a black community, we don't necessarily have to point the finger at ourselves, but we definitely at some point have to start taking responsibility for what's happening in our communities and what we're allowing to happen in our communities, even from the legislators that we elect. Because we continue to elect the same ones and that's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. I'm glad that Memphis, Shelby County are opening their eyes. People beginning to see, and this has happened. This has happened and robbed the Shelby County people, residents, for a long, long time. And so, here we have a comment that said, "Don't send the cops to check on me since they don't protect and serve anymore. Call Jesus, my family, friends, church, or Charlie's Angels. Heck, she says, I will take the Pink Panther too.
Oh, Lord.
But don't call the cops.
Wow.
And, Mike, before you answer, Mike, but real quick, though, and I know
go ahead.
Even yesterday, the situation in Texas, and it kind of led to some comments that I've seen from people locally and otherwise, where they say, hey, I'm afraid to call the police in situations because you get these off the wall situations. I mean, this lady, it's literally nothing you could have done.
Right.
The guy that called the police didn't do anything wrong. Then they come up and search in a crazy way. What do you say to people that are scared to actually reach out to the police anymore?
Well, this is that was an isolated incident. I would say that here in the city of Memphis, you have not seen that. And we answer over 1 million calls a year. So, we just got to make sure that we continue to try to get quality individuals in here and continue to provide them with quality training, sensitivity training, and the whole 9 yards to make sure that something like that does not happen. A lot of the things that have occurred across the country, I know people are afraid.
Hey, Mike.
And I am too.
Yeah.
To be perfectly honest.
Hey, Mike, hang on just a second. Let me see if we can get this other call in with you and talk. Hold on just a second.
Vincent. To accept, press 1. To send a...
Okay.
Hello.
Vincent, welcome to the show. Good morning, Vincent, on a Tuesday. Mike Williams is our guest.
Is Mike?
Yes. Mike, you're there, right?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay,
perfect.
Vincent, go ahead.
Hey, good morning. I'm sorry, I didn't know you had a guest. I was just calling in. But since Mike is there, how you doing, Mr. Williams?
Hey, what's going on, Vincent?
I'm doing fine. I was going to say, just in looking at this situation down in Dallas, and this is the second situation in Dallas that's really made a lot of national headlines. Don't you think it's a little insensitive to allow somebody to murder somebody like that and to go on bail within a couple of days, 2 or 3 days? It looked like to me there ought to be some sort of a I'm not saying to hold an innocent person, but when the facts are still being investigated and determined, and you've actually killed somebody, to me, shouldn't it be more logical to have that person detained for a more substantial period of time than to just say, well, you can get out on bail, and after we finish our investigation, we'll come back. Circumstances that have been outlined so far with the whatever video footage and the eyewitnesses,
right,
that seems to have been an egregious occurrence of not following full police protocol. And I was just wondering.
Go ahead, Mike. Let Mike
okay.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
What I was going to say is what has happened has nothing to do with police protocol because it's the justice system. If I'm not mistaken, he was actually arrested yesterday and charged with murder. Now, the justice system actually determined the bond, and they set a $200,000 bond. And whomever, I don't know who posted his bond, but, we can't get away from the Constitution, though. When someone here, if an individual that's not the police, they kill somebody, then they're arrested. There's a bond set for them. And if they can make that bond, then they can be released until the actual hearing. But they can't leave. They can't do whatever. So, it wasn't necessarily the police department because they did what they were supposed to do. They investigated swiftly. They determined that there was possible motives for pressing charges for murder. They brought him in, locked him up. And once they locked him up, then it was out of the police hands. It then went into the justice system, which you're talking about judges and lawyers and all of that.
Right.
So, now do we need to reform the justice system? So are we going to change? We can't look at him because he's a police officer and say because he's a police officer we're going to add aggravated circumstances or something to that effect. Because now he's been charged with murder, and there are stipulations when it comes to how you deal with murder charges.
Yeah.
Okay. Well.
Okay. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say I respect that intelligent answer, and you articulated it very well. I guess what I was really saying is that it just seems to me there's been too many frequent situations relevant to policemen being able to seemingly get by. But as you just articulated, it's not really him getting by. The police did their job.
He's going through the process like anybody else.
Yeah, he's going through the process. Yeah, it just seems like bail should have been higher. Maybe that's what I'm saying. How did they determine that $200,000 bail is sufficient for something as egregious as this? That's the problem. Like there's some guys that have done things and they place $1 million bail to make sure they don't get out.
I know, and ironically, it's the same thing Bob was saying a little earlier, Vincent. So y'all agree on that end.
Yeah.
But Mike, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No. I was going to say I agree with you wholeheartedly, but you have some cases, and I'm not trying to defend the individual because I'm a little suspect on what's going on too, but. That's how come I say it was then in the justice system. So, and normally it's a judge or someone that actually sets the bond for those individuals. Now, you got some individuals here in the city of Memphis that commit a murder, and they may have $100,000 bond,
Yeah.
So I guess it's dependent on the judge, or it is dependent on what they consider are the extenuating circumstances. I don't know.
Yeah.
But you're right. There are some people that they say, you know what, we're not going to let this person out of jail. Yeah. And so we're going to set a $2 million. You go to Bartlett, they're going to give you a $2 million bond.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just plain and simple. Just plain and simple. Because they don't want you coming over there killing nobody, and they ain't finna let you out.
That's real.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, to me, this is where the problem is. I mean, if you know you can get out, then on top of being able to get out, come up with a quality lawyer, a high-class lawyer, somebody that can work the system, then you're not going to be as cautious with, shooting somebody. And to me, if the message was sent loud and clear, if you kill a civilian and it's not shooting at you, or something
Right.
that where you can actually justify defensible homicide or whatever, then you're going to get a big bail snapped at you where you're going to be in jail for 6 months or until the trial. Otherwise, people will just take pot shots and do stuff what they want to do.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's
agree.
what's happening on a consistent basis.
Hey,
That's
okay.
great stuff.
All right, that's some good stuff, Vincent. Hey, we appreciate the call. Mike, you answered his question off the air. I mean, Vincent, thanks for the call.
Okay, you're welcome. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Okay, we're talking to Mike Williams, president of Memphis Police Association. Mike, do you anything you want to say to that comment? Anything else?
No. I agree. You know what I mean? But there's nothing I can do about that. You know, first of all, I'm not in Texas. I don't know what would have happened if it was here in the city of Memphis.
Right.
Once again, you know, the earlier conversation we were having, it's all individual dependent.
Yeah.
You know, it depended on who's making the decision about the bond. It's dependent on, you know, hey, yeah, him being a police officer. You know, it could be dependent on a lot of things. You know what I mean? So
Right.
I'm just glad that the police department did act swiftly to let the public know that, hey, look, you know, this will not be tolerated as far as the police department go, and they did their job. So I am grateful about that.
Mike, we'll ask you this, and then you can make last comments, and we'll let you go. Do you think because of the situation concerning police officers, you know, the situation in the past that has happened, and now they know people are fed up with police officers, do you think that this will we're having the changes that we're having? Are you still there?
I think we'll get him back in a minute.
Okay, we lost.
Yeah, we'll get him.
Mike Williams, the Memphis Police Association. But at any rate, that was our question to him, and we appreciate Vincent calling in and talking with Mike as well. That was a very good conversation. Josh, some of the comments on here, if you read.
Yeah, I got you.
Let's see.
Okay,
go ahead. I think we got.
Yeah, we'll go back to Mike.
Okay. Mike.
Yeah, hey, I think we got disconnected.
Yes. In the middle of my question, as a matter of fact.
Okay.
But now, my question was, I don't know if you understood it now, but because of the things that have happened in the past with police officers and shootings and things of that, do you think this is why things are beginning to turn as far as police department, police officers being charged, people not the directors or whoever they are, the mayors and people are now taking this more seriously because of things that have happened in the past, and they're fed up with it?
You know, Bob, I think rightfully so they should take it serious. I'm saying if an individual is given the authority to take a life, then you have to exercise that authority with caution, very much so. You know what I mean? I have no problem with someone that's trying to kill me or kill another person. I'll take them out in a minute. I ain't got no problem with it. But at the same token, I think you have to exercise due caution when you're given that authority. But that's why it's so imperative that you have quality trained individuals, individuals that are going to wait until that last second, that are going to exercise due diligence, and that are going to make sure that this is my last resort. You know what I mean?
Right.
But that's got to be somebody who can stand in the gap, you know, when you're talking about between good and evil and different things like that, and not necessarily fold under pressure or succumb to their fears. Because, see, I don't care what nobody say. Being a police officer, you're put in situations to whereas you are afraid all the time, and especially that's going on in our community. I know we're talking about these incidents where police officers may have shot people, but let's think about all these police officers that are being shot. The number of police officers that are being killed by individuals is rising in the nation as well. That's not the focus right now, but it is, because you have a lot of young people out there that are carrying guns and they're not responsible. They're committing crimes and they're doing things. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. So you got police officers that are afraid. You got citizens that are afraid. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So, that does not make for a comfortable environment.
No, it doesn't. So what should we do, or in your opinion, what do you think that should be done to change this? Well, there he goes again, and we'll maybe get him back here in just a second. And
plus, I want to ask some kind of on a different vein, if we could, before we let him go there.
Yeah.
On another end, but let me read some of these comments here.
Yes.
Terry says, "Wow, I must live in the right part of town. My mother and father lives in Memphis. I visit all parts of Memphis. I have no fear of my own race. I fear racist cops doing the wrong thing." Then she said, "Listen, there are too many cases." I agree with this call as far as Vincent. And then that was in another situation. Now, Greg says, "I don't fear my own race. Neither do I fear racist cops or any cops, but I won't ignore or discount the fact that our communities have problems either, and we can't simply blame everything on races."
Michael Williams.
Okay, Mike, we got you back. Yes, go ahead, Mike.
I think you were asking me, what do we need to do to make it better?
In your opinion, what do you think?
Well, I think that, just like Vincent or one of your callers said, there has to be a coming together of the community. We need to get back to community policing, actually, to whereas the police are actually in the community. They're dealing with the people. They're kind of intertwined. That way, those officers that were working in the community here in the city of Memphis, they had built relationships with those communities. So therefore, there was a trust factor.
You know what, Mike? I heard about that situation, and I've seen a couple of times riding through certain areas where police officers were riding in communities, and they were and I saw police officers out on the sidewalk with kids riding.
That is correct.
They're tricycling. They're talking with the police officers, and they're trying to relate.
That's correct.
That's
correct.
But is that still going on?
Well, because of the attrition of the police department, and because at that time we had like 2,500 officers. We got down to 1,900 officers.
Right.
The police in the city of Memphis had to be reactive as opposed to proactive, because community policing is being proactive. That's getting to know the kids. When somebody got in trouble, the mother would call and say, "Hey, look, Mike, John has a warrant. Can you come get him? Because I know you. I know he won't get abused." So I go in there and wake John up. Let's go. Let's take care of this. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
As opposed to I got to go in there and fight the whole house.
Right. Right. Gotcha.
So community policing is actually effective, and I don't know why they got away from it. But it's going to take a whole lot, though, Bob, because there is in the community, in the city of Memphis and throughout the nation when it comes to police officers now. And because of the advent of social media and different things like that, and for instance, all of this stuff happened in Texas yesterday, and I believe a couple of days ago, but in Texas. But you can see, because of social media and the news, how it's having the ripple effect throughout the country. Whereas back in those days, also, it may have happened. I didn't know about it in Tennessee.
Right.
That's true.
Mike, we're running out.
So,
go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, it's going to take some time and effort on everybody's part.
Yeah. Josh, did you have anything to say lastly?
Yeah, last question, Mike, man. I know you've been on a while, and I appreciate you coming on with this, man. And GKP says hello as well. Jay.
What's up, Jay?
Man. But you know what? I'm gonna ask you. So, with the election, how did you feel about Jim Strickland winning re-election? Do you feel like some things can move forward with different things? So I know you guys have differences, so to speak. But how do you feel about how that turned out and what can happen moving forward?
And also, Willie Harrington encouraged everybody to support the mayor that's been elected. So, go ahead.
If you remember, last time he got elected, I wasn't necessarily in his corner because I ran.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but if you remember, for the first year after he got elected, I would not speak on him. I wouldn't speak disparagingly of him. I wouldn't say anything, because I said I was going to give him an opportunity. But I said the same thing about this time. I will give him an opportunity, but if it smells like fish, I'm gonna call it fish.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So, like I was saying about the referendum, I hope that he would look at this as a gift, because you say you couldn't do all of these things, so we went to the citizens, we helped you out. Now you have some of the to be able to restore the benefits and to build on being able to build a police department that's going to be responsive to the citizens of this city. I'm a citizen of this city, so I only want the best because my kids live here, my grandkids live here, my great-grandkids live here. I'm going to die here. You understand?
Yeah.
So I want what's best for this city. So I am not against Mr. Strickland, but Mr. Strickland also has to be open to a public servant. He has to be open to suggestions and criticism, and he has to be, you got out there and shot basketball on the basketball. So let's see what you're going to do about these community centers. You know what I mean? I saw you hugging all of these black babies and walking around and black parades and all of that. So I didn't see no white folk in the commercials. You understand?
Yeah.
So my thing is, you love black people. Show me some love. Show me some love, Bob.
Man.
Show a brother some love, man. Yeah.
That's right. How about that? You know what I mean?
I agree.
So I'm saying and the black with you.
Yeah.
So if you sought their vote that hard and you really say you're doing so much for the black community, then I'm open to that.
Okay.
But I'm open to you doing everything to be inclusive as opposed to exclusive. So, hey, let's move Memphis forward, man. I'm all for it. And when things,
yes, sir.
You know what I mean?
Right.
I really truly do. So, I'm not opposed to moving forward. I'm not. This is business.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This is business. Hopefully, I'm a good businessman. He's a good businessman. So, but I'm also the type that I'm not going to sit here and let you beat me across my head and not say anything.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Our guest has been Mike Williams, president of the Memphis Police Association. And Mike, as always, man, it's always a pleasure to have you on our show. And we'll look forward to you joining us again. And thanks for all the valuable information and you dealt to the public today.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much, Bob.
Okay.
And Josh.
Yes, sir.
Yes, indeed. All right. Have a good one.
All right. Bye-bye.
Hey, and Josh, that was Mike Williams, Memphis Police Association. And we've got some comments here. We're just about out of time here, Josh. And Terry had a lot of things to say today. We appreciate it, though, Terry.
Yeah.
The police union is full of crap. That's what she said.
Yeah, she did. Yes.
Okay.
Man, I didn't see that, actually. But,
yes.
But she did. She turned around. Community policing statement that he made.
Yeah. Okay.
Which I think is all. And I didn't see Jets either. He said, ask Mike how he thinks it would have gone if that sister had shot that cop. Then said she heard a noise out back and feared for her life. Now that's interesting.
Yeah.
What
kind of black person
I'm
do
curious
to keep from getting killed by police in this country, Terry? She's rough. She's fed up with it. Shouldn't like a lot of people. And Terry says, "Thank you, Mike." Yes, indeed. We do appreciate Mike Williams. And hey, thanks for all your comments. And
yes,
some of the things we may have over, but hey, all your comments mean well to us.
All are appreciated,
and we appreciate you joining us today on Talk Back Live. And Live Network. Coming up later on today at 2 p.m., folks, it will be
TalkBack Live Sports.
And
so y'all stay tuned.
Yeah, got a lot of things coming up this afternoon.
It's going to be cool. A lot of stuff to talk about. We're going to get into AAC Media Days, some stuff involving the Memphis Tigers, and a little bit of disrespect from the conference coaches. So we'll talk about that. Also, the weekly segment. Dominic Lawson going to be joining me for the Talking Sports and Business. Going to do a follow-up, that is, of the NBA and China situation. LeBron has made some comments that may not have been the smartest thing. I don't know. So we're going to talk about that. Also get into some other things as well. So y'all stay tuned. All at 2 to 3 p.m.
Yes, this afternoon on TalkBack Live Sports. And you never know, I may be back this afternoon. Got some things to talk about. Been talking about some good things biblically. And we want to come trying to get that particular show together in the evening or whatever time we decide to move it to. All right, guys, that's going to do it for us today. Thanks for all your comments, and have a wonderful day. Terry said, who that?
I got you. Her Saints.
Saints. Yeah. New Orleans. Wow, they're not doing anything, are they? But anyway, are they doing something out there?
Yeah, they're 5-1.
5-1. Wow, great. Okay, thumbs up, Terry. Hey, we'll see you tomorrow. Josh will be back this afternoon, 2 to 3 this afternoon. TalkBack Live Sports. Have a wonderful day today, and be blessed. If you're looking for some of the best old-fashioned burgers and cakes in town, Lotta Burger is the place to go for all of your favorites. Lotta Burger, 2260 South 3rd, Memphis, Tennessee, 901-946-2001. They're open Monday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 6:45 p.m. And the items on their menu include single, double, triple burgers, Philly sandwiches, smoked sausage, beef hot dog, grilled cheese, tenders, fries, onion rings, and more. Call-in orders must be done before 11 a.m. No calls accepted after 11 a.m. Drive-throughs available. Hungry for a burger? Lotta Burger, 2260 South 3rd, Memphis, Tennessee, 901-946-2001. Don't just settle for any burger. Get a Lotta Burger.
Are you tired of going to the doctor with the same issue over and over again and never getting any relief? Are you tired of buying all types of vitamins and supplements, hoping but not knowing for sure that they will keep you healthy? Or are you getting enough of the right kind of nutrients that your specific body needs? If you answered yes to any of these questions, you need a nutritional blood analysis. With a nutritional blood analysis, we can take one drop of blood from a prick of your finger and analyze your body's nutritional needs, nutritional deficiencies, and nutritional imbalances. This analysis can provide an early warning of possible future health challenges so you can make the changes now to avoid the negative outcome. A nutritional blood analysis can be used to monitor a health challenge before and after adopting an approach to restore health and balance. It will also allow you the ability to determine the effectiveness of various approaches to restoring and balancing your health. So don't wait. Make your appointment. Stop guessing with your health. Know what works for sure. 901-602-7063.
Speaking Graphic Printing, located at 890 East Range Road in Memphis, a complete print shop for all your printing needs. They do it all: color copy, resumes, funeral programs, rubber stamp, full color business cards, wedding and graduation invitations, and more. 30 plus years of quality work and service. They're open Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Located at 890 East Range Road in Memphis, Tennessee, 901-345-9294. C Graphic Printing.
CJU Appliances, located at 3530 Jackson Avenue here in Memphis, Tennessee. Call them at 901-487-7882. CJU Appliances has the best prices in town. Sales and service, heating and air. Also the best appliances you'll find anywhere in the Mid-South. Refrigerators, microwave stoves, washers and dryers, deep freezers, dishwashers, whatever you need in used appliances. And folks will tell you they're the best used appliances anywhere you'll find. That's CJU Appliances, 3530 Jackson Avenue. All appliances come with warranty. You can call them at 901-487-7882. Again, 901-487-7882. CJU Appliances. C&S Motors Auto Sales, located at 2508 Summer Avenue, here in Memphis, Tennessee. Call them at 901-323-8778. C&S Motors Auto Sales has been around since 1984. Go by and see Chris Day for some of the best pre-owned and used vehicles in the city. They have SUVs, minivans, cars, trucks, whatever you're looking for in pre-owned used vehicles. Hey, you can find it right there at C&S Motors Auto Sales. See Chris since 1984. They will treat you right. Call them at 901-323-8778. That's 901-323-8778. 2508 Summer Avenue, C&S Motors Auto Sales.
This is Sergeant Chris Richardson with the Tennessee Highway Patrol, here to explain the Tennessee Hands-Free Law, which is a new state law effective July 1st, 2019. In Public Chapter 412, it makes it illegal for a driver to hold a cell phone or a mobile device with any part of their body, to write, send, or read any text-based communication, to reach for a cell phone or mobile device in a manner that requires the driver to no longer be in a seated driving position or properly restrained by a seatbelt, to watch a video or a movie on a cell phone or a mobile device, and to record or broadcast video on a cell phone or a mobile device. So, can I still talk on my cell phone while driving? Yes. A driver is permitted to use an earpiece, headphone device, or device worn on a wrist to conduct a voice-based communication. The driver may use one button on a cell phone or mobile device to initiate or terminate voice communication, and voice-based communication may also be used to send a text message. Learn more at handsfreetn.com.